Hi everyone, it's me, Miss Heather, back again for another Saturday of crafting. Our crafts today are actually a little more scientific. The first one is that we're going to create a rainbow in a jar, and you'll notice when I do mine that it doesn't turn out perfect, but that's fine. I encourage you to experiment a little with your process while we're making this. And then the other one we're going to make is actually Play-Doh, because who doesn't love Play-Doh? And then I'm going to show some cool things that you can do with the Play-Doh after it's been made. So I'm ready if you are, and I'm going to head on over to my craft table and get going. So I'm going to start setting up for the rainbow jar. I'm going to keep everything poured over a plate, that way if I spill, it's not all over my table. So I'm going to need some cups for mixing, the jar that I'm going to put my experiment in, and a spoon. I'm going to add my first ingredient, so I need honey first, and then in my cups I'm going to lay out my dish soap, preferably blue or another color or clear. And then we need some just plain water to start with. And then I used olive oil here, but I think you could also use just regular vegetable oil. And then you need some rubbing alcohol as well. And now I'm going to add my colors, so I'm just using regular food coloring. We're going to make the base inside purple, but I'm going to start by mixing in my red. I already have my blue dish soap, so I'm going to make my water green. I have my yellow olive oil, so then I'm going to make my rubbing alcohol red. And then I'm going to start mixing things together. So I'm going to get that honey in the middle to be purple. So I started by adding red, now I need to add some blue to make my purple. Once that's all mixed up, I can actually start adding all of my layers. So I'm going to start with the dish soap, and I'm going to use the spoon to make sure that I don't pour it too hard into the next layer, because we want them to stay separate in the cup. So try to pour it onto the spoon. And then I'm going to make sure my color's all mixed in with my water, and now I'm going to add that the same way that I added the dish soap. And you have to remember to pour very carefully, because you don't want what you're pouring to go into the layer below it. And then I'm going to actually just repeat these steps until I have all of the layers in my jar. Once my last layer is in, I'm going to put a lid on it just in case I bump it. I don't have any spills in my craft area. So once the lid's on, now we gotta look to see what happened. And as we turn to look down at the side, you can see the different layers of all the different substances that we put in. So this is caused by something called density, and all of these liquids have different densities, which is why some of them sit on top of others. So I encourage you to experiment with different types of density to see what kinds of patterns you could make in your jar. Now we're going to start with our Play-Doh. So we just need some common kitchen items. You need all-purpose flour, some salt, cream of tartar, which if you don't have, it's fine. Your Play-Doh just might be a little less strong. Then you need hot water. Some recipes call for boiling, but I find that hot tap water works fine. Some vegetable oil, and a big bowl to mix it all. So I'm making a smaller batch. You can double any of these measurements if you just want to make a ton of it all at once. But to start with here, I'm going to add a cup of flour to my bowl. Then I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of salt. And then a tablespoon of cream of tartar. Now I've added all of my dry ingredients first because I want to get them mixed together before I start adding the vegetable oil and the water. Once all of the dry ingredients are in the bowl and mixed together, I'm going to add a tablespoon of the vegetable oil. And then I'm going to mix all of that together as best as I can. It'll be a little clumpy at this point, but that's fine. Once all of that's kind of mixed together, I'm going to start adding my water. Now, the recipe calls for a cup of water, but I add a little bit at a time because sometimes it goes super Play-Doh-y super fast and sometimes you need a little more. So add just a bit of the water at a time and keep mixing until you get the consistency you want. And as simple as that, you have officially made a batch of Play-Doh. Now we're going to go over some fun things you can add to the Play-Doh to give it more of a sensory experience. So one thing you can add is actually just spices from in the kitchen. It'll give it aroma and some of them will also give it color. So here I'm just adding nutmeg and cinnamon and it kind of smells like an apple pie or a gingerbread cookie and it's lovely. Now you can also make dyes from fruits or vegetables. So I have tried making a dye from just boiling blueberries in some water. Now I added it to completed Play-Doh, which was a little messy. I had to add more salt and flour back in to make it work correctly. You could use it in the early stages instead of water to make it have that color instantly. So let me show you. Here's what it looked like after I got it all mixed in, and it's a really awesome color. Super simple. It was just boiled blueberries. Other simple things you can add is just skin safe essential oils. You can mix and match your flavors and make it smell however you want. And of course, there's always the classic go-to of adding just glitter or sequins or something fun like that, and food coloring to give it that nice bright color. And that's that. Just some fun, simple ways you can make your Play-Doh even cooler than before. But let's not forget, you can still make things from that Play-Doh, whether it's colored or scented. You can do really cool imprints. You can take those imprints and use cookie cutters and make them into different shapes. You can add holes to them to make, a necklace pendant or a Christmas ornament or even just a really fun piece of wall art. So here, that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm adding a hole to mine so I can put a string through it. And then I'm going to use a stick that I found outside and just some yarn and show you how if you just tie the pieces together, you can create something you can hang on your wall. You can create a bunch of different prints and create a mobile, or you can just have one and make it a super simple thing. Really fun. I suggest trying it out, and I would love to see what you create. Thank you all for joining me on this sciencey, crafty adventure, and I hope that you will share everything you've created in our Brentwood Creative Share on our website, and I look forward to seeing you at our next craft time.